What's up? What's up? How is it going? We are live. I know I have nobody going in right now, but I just want to say this is Thoughts with Jessey, and we are at the Ground Sound Studio / Barry Media Studio here in Columbus, Ohio. I have got some things to talk about with the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's been a big day. Well, first thing, I guess before I jump into the Columbus Blue Jackets, I'm just so freaking excited to get into that content right now. The biggest thing that I have to say right now is this is Thoughts with Jessey. This is pretty much my first true episode going out. I've had a couple of run-throughs with this, but what I want to say is this is really all about sports, a lot of stuff that's just on my mind, what's going to happen throughout the day that I've kind of been thinking about, maybe some things that are kind of going on in the world that I maybe might kind of a little bit of perspective. And then I kind of want to, if I can get some people watching, get some comments going, maybe talk a little bit at the end with some Q&A, figure out some stuff. I'm going to be talking a little bit about sports, my big teams, obviously a big day already with Columbus Blue Jackets. It's my favorite NHL team. It's from Columbus, Ohio. So born and raised. I was actually born in 93, so I'm a little bit older than the actual organization itself. But as a fan, I am a diehard Blue Jackets fan. I'm a diehard Steelers fan, if you can see the hat there. I am a diehard Pirates fan and a diehard the Ohio State University with the home of the Buckeyes. I graduated from Ohio State. I graduated from Pick North. If you know where Pickerington is, the little southeast of Columbus, Ohio, pretty central. But yeah, let's jump right into it. Today has been an insane day for the Columbus Blue Jackets. One, started off the day obviously already having a bunch of things going on with the Pierre-Luc Dubois debate and how he is disgruntled. He does not want to be with the team anymore. He is ready to move on, wants to go to what he called a bigger stage. Apparently the Columbus stage is not big enough for him, which is totally fine. Good for him. But really a little disgruntled just because, I mean, as a Blue Jackets fan, you look back to the 2016 draft. They drafted PLD number 3, and he really wasn't expected to go that high. He was kind of a guy that was a little bit more under the radar. Obviously, it was Jessey P. I have no idea how to say his last name as I look up the 2016 draft here. But what I am going to say about this is he requests for a trade. And if any of you guys have actually know about PLD and know about what he really brings to the Columbus Blue Jackets, really as a hockey player in general, he's a little bit bigger forward. Or not forward, yes. He's a center. He's a big time score maker. I mean, he showed that he's 22. Let's just say this. He's 22 years old. He's now played 4 seasons in the NHL. And he really has gone off. 66 goals total, which, I mean, 66 is not a lot for a so-called number 1 lineman, but I mean, or your first line. This is a centerman. Centermans are typically more of your passing, going to get that puck around. But the centermans are going to score too. They're going to get their goals. The biggest thing is that we saw PLD last season come in when the Blue Jackets were told from basically everybody in the national media, you just got rid of Panarin, Sergei Bobrovsky. You got rid of Matt Duchene, who you got halfway through the year. You got rid of Ryan Dzingel. You have nobody. You have nobody on that team. They really, I felt overlooked a ton of the core, essentially, in this group with the captain, starting with the captain right off rib, Nick Foligno. And then you got to look at Cam Atkinson, too. I mean, Cam Atkinson, Boone Jenner, these guys. I mean, obviously, you're going to go with Seth Jones. You're going to go with Zach Werenski. I mean, even Jonas Korpisalo has been there for a couple of years behind Bob before they traded him. They go in. They're not expected to even do anything last year. Well, they end up, obviously, we had the coronavirus hit, and we have this unbelievable season hit for just all of sports. Just to imagine the NBA ending, the NHL ending, and everything was hitting at Everything was hitting the world. It's such a everything was insane. Then to come back, play in the bubble, and they have the Columbus Blue Jackets are in. They are doing the play-in series. Well, they end up going against Toronto Maple Leafs, which is where majority of the people said they were going to sweep the Blue Jackets, and they were moving on. They said they were done. They were not going to do this. I'm moving on. I'm going into the next thing. I want to get rid of just all of this. Like, I don't know. As a fan listening to that media that going into that playoff series, you cannot imagine there's the angst and the want to just rip the hearts out of the Toronto Maple Leafs fan. But trying to get back on topic, what I was talking about with the PLD, we go back to that series. It's tied 1-1. Series is, and they have game 3. Game 3 went into overtime. 3 goals were scored by the Columbus Blue Jackets, including the game winner, and all 3 were scored by Pierre-Luc Dubois. That was really, I feel like, the big coming out party. He was already a brilliant player. I felt like he was a guy that was up and coming. And to go back to that 2016 draft, it is Jessey Jarvey. I have no idea how to say this name. I am so sorry to this guy, Jessey, a fellow Jessey. I am Jessey, Jessey. He is JSSE. But it doesn't really matter because obviously I don't play hockey. But I love talking about it. I love sitting here just getting into it a little bit like this. The biggest thing with going back to this PLD thing is he has that big game last year. Then we go in to play Tampa Bay after the year before where we had swept them. Going in, this is the first playoff series win for the Columbus Blue Jackets. They had spent plenty of time celebrating that win. Obviously, we ended up losing in Game 6 of the next series to the Boston Bruins. We ended up going on to lose in the Stanley Cup final. And then even having last year when we lose to Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay beats us 4-1. They have that amazing first game that goes into 5 overtimes. And you have records set by Seth Jones for most ice time, record set by Jonas Korpisalo for most saves in a NHL game, let alone an NHL playoff game. Then you also have record numbers from just amount of shots, amount of everything that went into that game, 5 overtimes. And to know that this is not your regular season overtime, that is 5 minutes. For those of you that don't know hockey overtime rules, what happens in the regular season is after the game, if the game is tied after 3 periods, you go into a 5-minute overtime. If anybody scores, they win. If nothing, it goes into a shootout after. In the playoffs, there is no shootout. So the overtime turns into another 20-minute period. So to be in the 5th period, let us think about this. In that 5 overtime game, you have the first 3 periods of regulation. You have another 4. So that means they played 2 games, another period, and then went into the 5th until Brandon Point won, which I believe was, I want to say, 5 to 10 minutes into that game. I remember watching that game, and just a pit of misery came from me when Brandon Point scores that goal. I hate Brandon Point. I am as I said at the beginning of the show, I am a diehard Blue Jackets fan. And if anyone is a Blue Jackets fan and doesn't know who Brandon Point is, you cannot call yourself a Blue Jackets fan. Get rid of your jersey and stop watching the Blue Jackets. For the love of God, if you don't know who Brandon Point is, he has been the devil's advocate for us, essentially, in the last few seasons, and he's been a pain in the butt. The rivalry I want to talk a little bit now about the rivalry with the Lightning. That comes with this. I know that's kind of a little bit off topic with the PLD thing that I was talking about earlier, but I just want to say this a little bit quick. 1, F the Lightning. Not a fan of the Lightning. 2, if you don't think it's a rivalry, you have no idea what you're doing when you're watching sports. 3, oh my God, do I hate the Lightning. Okay, moving on. Back to what we were talking about. The bigger news that I have not said yet is that I've been kind of teasing a little bit. The big news was there was a huge trade, obviously, that happened with PLD. That's why I've been talking about PLD this little bit. What is going on with PLD is he demanded the trade, like we said. He's been coming up, blossoming into this amazing NHL star. He's 22 years old, like I said. So he demands a trade. So what are the Blue Jackets to do? He signed a 2-year deal. Well, he wasn't playing well. Played 5 games. Teams won 2-2. Two losses in overtime. Got a total of 4 points. They're 6th in the Central at that point, coming into today's game against the Lightning after losing 2 games in a row in OT, which you could say the Detroit game was super, super sloppy, and they probably don't even deserve that point, but they still managed to get one. And then at the same time, you could probably say they almost shouldn't have gotten to overtime with the Lightning, and they should have won that. But to still hold on for a point, I think, is very big. And then Brandon Point again scored in overtime. Forget Brandon Point. I'm onto what I'm trying to talk about. The point is, pun not intended. PLD had a couple of shifts in the first period of the last Tampa Bay game, and everybody knows he dogged the first shift. And if anybody says that he was like, yeah, he's just kind of watching the puck, blah blah blah, yeah, I can understand that. There's a couple of points where he's chasing puck and he can't really do a whole lot, obviously, even if he is busting it down. But at the end of this is where I draw the line. The end of the shift that he's going up to, puck comes down to the corner and he has 2 guys on him. I understand you're probably not going to win that puck because obviously 2 guys to 1 ratio is not good for you. But for the love of God, the man did not do anything even to try to attempt to go after the puck. The biggest thing that I have is all I really freaking want in a Columbus Blue Jackets player is somebody that's going to come and play hard. As much as I hate to say this right now, the Columbus Blue Jackets is not a team that's going to come and show a flashy game. Now, typically, I will say, typically, they're not going to show a flashy game. They're typically a forechecking team. It's going to play hard-nosed D, get a decent goaltender, and I will say that we have better goaltending that we've had in probably the past 5 years, the last 5 years compared to the first 15 of this being the 20th season of Columbus Blue Jackets hockey. The biggest thing has been the goaltending for us because Bob, when he played here, Sergei Bobrovsky, before he left for less money in Florida, and I will always remember that, Sergei Bobrovsky. I'll call you Bob. I will respect you for everything you've done for the city and everything that you've done for this team. You really put a lot into the city, and I appreciate that. But you left for less money, and so did Panarin. So you're gone. I'm on to the next one. You're wearing a different jersey. It doesn't matter to me at this point. Basically, what I want to know is how can you be a disgruntled player like this always in Columbus? And I know I'm kind of going off topic a little bit here, guys. I'm going a little bit everywhere, but there's so much I've got on my mind about this Jackets team so far, and let's just get to the main point. Big trade with the PLD. Gets traded for PATRICK LANIE. And PATRICK LANIE, big-time shooter, 140 goals in 305 games in his – it says 5 – it's okay. It says 5 seasons. But right now he essentially just has the one more season because of him playing as a rookie right off rip in 2016 while PLD played right out in 2017. Played 1 year in the minors for us. Excuse me. Sorry. The Cleveland Monsters in AAA. That's the not AAA. I'm thinking baseball, but the minors, the AHL for the Columbus Blue Jackets. But to get this trade off, one is amazing. Just to know that there were 2 disgruntled players. Let me get on the backstory of PATRICK LANIE a little bit. He is from Winnipeg Jets, drafted. And the funny thing is, if you go on back to over here where we're talking about the 2016 draft, he was drafted number 2 to Winnipeg while Columbus drafted Pierre-Luc Dubois. So the big thing that everybody's saying is, it's a 2 for a 3, essentially, 1 for 1. Not how Jarmo plays the game, my friends. Jarmo Kekalainen. He came in 2013 to be the GM of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and boy, has he changed an entire city's culture. Let me tell you. So, Yarmo came out and said today that he has been working slowly. I don't want to say slowly. But I do want to say they wanted probably his PLD thing to work out. Even as much as he said he wants to be traded and his stage isn't big enough, you always kind of, as that at least as a fan, you always kind of have that hope that maybe if we start winning, he'll come back and he'll change his mind. Obviously, in the Columbus area, that has not been favorable for us as Panarin did it. Bob didn't really, I wouldn't say Bob was the guy that came out and said he was going to leave and said that he was kind of upset and didn't really want to be here. I don't know. I don't really know about Bob. I can't say much about Bob. I figured would be one of the guys that would want to be here, but I was also at the time really upset that I didn't think Bob was actually going to be kind of what he is becoming for the Florida Panthers now, which is pretty solid. I mean, they're in the Central Division as well with the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Tampa Bay Lightning. But back to the trade, it ends up being PLD and a third-round pick of 2022 to Winnipeg, and Winnipeg sends back PATRICK LANIE and wrote, I believe it is what is his first name? It's Ross Lavic. But the biggest thing about Ross Lavic, he's from Columbus and grew up in Columbus. And what I have read today is that he had been actually talking to PATRICK LANIE and telling him how great the city of Columbus is, how great it is just to really be a Blue Jacket. I mean, he's never been a Blue Jacket, but I feel like obviously growing up in Columbus, you kind of understand what Blue Jackets are really about. And you understand that there's going to be some times that, I mean, if you grew up as a Blue Jackets fan before 2013, you just knew that the Blue Jackets weren't going to probably win, and they probably weren't making the playoffs. Obviously, it took until 2019 to win a playoff game, or not a playoff game, a playoff series. So yes, it has been very, very tough as a Blue Jackets fan growing up, especially with my father being a Pens fan. It's not been good. Not been good. But anyway, the other Jack, that's what his name, Jack Ross Lavic. But both of them, so Lonnie is 22, PLD is 22, and then Ross Lavic is 23. So relatively young guys. You're giving up a trade. But I think at the end of the day, you have to look at what Yarmo just did. Yarmo took a situation where he has a frontline center that doesn't want to be here. Obviously, he's upset with Torts. Everybody gets upset with Torts. I mean, I don't understand why these people think that you're gonna just automatically get along with the guy unless you come in automatically just playing solid defense. You're a great skater and you just have a high hockey IQ and you can score the puck. Then you're probably not going to be on Torts' bad list that often. But I really don't think Torts has a bunch of things that he's demanding. Torts is a guy that is he's not a BS guy. You just can't give him BS to just say, I'm going to be in now. I'm going to be doing this. He's a guy that wants you to play defense first. He wants you to be focused on being on the forecheck. And he wants you to come full out and 100% and continuously get better. And have your game ready to go, when you come. And I personally, for me, playing for a lot of different coaches on the lacrosse, baseball, and a couple other sports spectrums, I guess I really liked playing for a guy similar to Torts who has a lot of high energy, who is going to be up in my face trying to make me a better player. At the end of the day, I would rather know as a player that my coach is pushing me to the point that I am going to be better than I was when I came to this franchise, this program, anything like that. And the other thing that I go with that went into this trade is Yarmo, I don't believe, truly went into this trade thinking, because because I guess this is really it. I don't think Yarmo came into, from what he said today, it doesn't sound like what happened Wednesday was what would have been the kicker. Because I feel like if a team had come out and was desperate to move a guy, didn't want to put him in the team, that they, first off, to only put him in under 4 minutes against a defending Stanley Cup champion, and that's your top center, that's obviously a sign that they were very upset with like how he's been playing. I don't really truly believe that they put this in place because they were trying to trade PLD and they were upset about him having the trade request. I think, yes, everybody's going to be upset about him requesting a trade. I mean, they just went to the playoffs last year, won a playoff game, a series. I mean, it's the play-in. It's a playoff series. And then we lost 4-1 to the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are starting to turn into this rivalry like I talked about earlier. About this, it's hard to describe how the situation behind PLD and how he has grown from like what has really believed that Yarmo, Torts, and this whole CBJ organization was behind him when they drafted him in 2016. They brought him in. They wanted him to be this top line guy. They wanted him to be this face of the franchise. I mean, eventually what I was thinking is PLD was going to come on and be the next captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets. I thought he was going to eventually get to a point where he had the A on his chest, which he did. He did a couple of years, and I felt like it was taken. This year wasn't on there. I think that was more because of the trade request, but I think he would have been the next captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think if Nick Foligno came around and was maybe only here for another like 2 years, say potentially he goes, I don't know, say Nick Foligno's here another 4 or 5 years. Maybe they trade him away and they go with just like how they had right before they gave Nick the C when John Tortorella said it was just a couple of really like guys that were captain worthy, but just a bunch of assistant captains, not a true captain. Obviously that's not going to happen. Obviously he is off to Winnipeg. But now that all of this sort of drama is behind the CBJ with everything, I mean, this really, you can kind of now start to look at this base. So you have Oliver Bjorkstrand, the other first-line winger, who just signed a 5-year extension on top of, I believe he has, I believe it's 5 years with, I don't know if there's one or if it's the rest of just this year plus 5, or if there's another year, which is essentially make it a 7-year deal. But I loved having that in Bjorkstrand just because Bjorkstrand's a sniper. I think Bjorkstrand he's young. He's very young. I think he's either 24 or 25. But he has been growing. He was also one of the guys that won, I believe it's the Calder Cup, which is the AHL's essential Stanley Cup in 20, I want to say like 15 or 16. I'm gonna have to pull that up and double check that. But basically, what I believe with the PATRICK LANIE going on the left side, you got Bjorkstrand on the right side. Then you got Max Domi, who they just brought in from Montreal when they traded Josh Anderson for Max Domi, which, by the way, Josh Anderson has 3 goals already this year. Josh Anderson is played in 3 games with 3 goals. So part of me is upset about that because I really felt like Josh Anderson was somebody that would have, if we had signed him for the money, he would have stayed here and played just like he did 2 years ago. There's a lot of hypotheticals that goes into that. There's a lot of potential and stuff, but at the end of the day, you get a guy, Max Domi, who is a center, top line center. He is a guy that he has a lot of skill, a lot of great skill that he is able to just add into the game. And you really were kind of hoping that he would really add that offensive force that the Columbus Blue Jackets just really haven't. I mean, if you haven't noticed, as a Columbus Blue Jackets fan, you're really getting 1-goal games majority of the time. But I mean, looking at it, look back at it. We've got, so take your first three there. I'm thinking PATRICK LANIE, Max Domi, and Oliver Bjorkstrand are going to get in there, and they're going to, I hope they gel. I hope that gels into a dominant squad. I hope PATRICK LANIE comes in and he helps this struggling power play, which, by the way, he had 20 power play goals 2 years ago, his sophomore year, or 3 years ago, I'm sorry. And then he has, really, the guy has not scored under, when he's got a full season, he scored 40 goals. Like, he scored 44. Which just say that was it was his sophomore year. If he scores 44 goals in Columbus Blue Jackets uniform in one season, he will have set the record for Columbus goals in one season. So just a little taste, just kind of a taste of what happened. So PATRICK LANIE is hurt right now. He has an upper body injury. It is day to day. What they're talking is that it will be something around what I think is he'll be day to day. He'll probably come back. I mean, with the quarantine and the visa stuff that's going to happen, because he's from Canada, we have to think about this. He is coming from Canada into America, so we are still technically in a pandemic and everything is happening. We still have to show what is going on, or not show what's going on, but understand the time that we are in, and look at what is an average of him probably playing. What would be the first thing he could probably play? It'd probably be in about a week and a half. And if we look at the Columbus Blue Jackets schedule, right now they played earlier today. They won 5-2 to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in regulation, which is actually big because you're playing nothing but division games this year. And what they are doing is taking the top 4 teams from each division will make the playoffs. So with the Blue Jackets getting a win today, this was big because let's check the standing, shall we? It actually puts them all the way up to second place. This is how big this game was today. The Columbus Blue Jackets went from 6th. Now, they have the most games played in the division. So, obviously, they're probably going to fall a little bit once some people start playing some games. But you give Tampa Bay Lightning the first loss in regulation. First loss of the season also. And you also put yourself tied for first place. Technically in second place because of, like I said, it's played 6 games. Majority of everybody else has played 4. The Stars have played 1 game, which obviously they won their first game. They're probably going to play a couple games more sooner than most, and they will catch up. But you got to think 6 points right now, and they are waiting for Tuesday. They're doing the back-to-back, so it's a little bit more of a college style if guys played in college, not the AHL, where you basically you'd play 2 games of the team you were seeing. So typically it would be kind of a home and home, or 2 games kind of close together in one city and then 2 games later down the road in the other. But I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself because it's early in the season and we still haven't seen what PATRICK LANIE is going to show up. Obviously, he's going to bring some offense. He's going to bring some goals. He's going to bring some shooting. And I definitely think I don't think there's going to be as much tension as there really – I think there's going to be an adjustment period. I think there's going to be some time that he's going to have to figure out how to adjust to the Columbus Blue Jackets style. But I don't think as Yarmo or Torts is going to bring PATRICK LANIE in to try to change him completely into like a defensive player. The dude is an offensive stud. He has 140 goals in 305 games. Add in the 7, or I don't even remember how many assists he has, but he has over 200. He has over 200 plus points in 305 games. It doesn't even matter what his true total is right now. You are over 200 points in 305 games. That means you are scoring above a 2.0, or a 2/3. So basically, you are averaging 66% of the time a goal when you go into a game from him. That is something that the Jackets haven't had since Panarin left. That is something that the Jackets need to threaten people in the playoffs, because you can say what you want, but when you come into a playoff series against the Columbus Blue Jackets, you know two things are going to happen. It's going to be tight games. You're going to get hit, and the games are probably going to last longer than what you want them to, and you're going to be hit probably more often than you are wanting to. Now, obviously, in playoff games, that happens. That typically happens. The energy is amped up. But I just feel like as a Blue Jackets fan and watching this team, they are typically a team that is just on the forecheck, and they are just a pain in your ass. Like, honestly, that was kind of PLD's thing, and that was why a lot of people liked PLD so much, is he was a pain. He was somebody that would come in and would ruffle your feathers, and he would totally stay calm about it. He'd put his hand in your face. He'd check into the boards, maybe a little high, maybe a little late, just kind of some things that would just agitate you as a player. And the biggest thing as a Blue Jackets fan is that is kind of the mantra, or the kind of, not the goal, but like the kind of the style that we play. We play a up front, in your face defensive game where we're going to take the puck from you and we're going to try to get one on you quick, maybe try to put one or two on you and just hold. I hate that. I really, honestly, as a Jackets fan, I freaking hate that. But I will say that this is something that seems to be changing in this Columbus organization, which I don't want to say it's like Torts is changing his entire philosophy to an offensive coach. I mean, I want to say it's changing because I see guys that are coming up like Emil Benstrom, Kevin Studlin. Stenlin. Yeah, Stenlin. I'm sorry. Stenlin came in last season as a rookie and had some pretty good goals. Had bigger body, has a pretty good shot. Benstrom was more of I felt like the high priority, kind of high talked about, high praise type of guy for his shot. He has a hell of a shot. And when his shot goes in, it's unbelievable. And when he's going, he can be a guy that will put some mustard on it, blow some goals past some goal. He seems like a guy that wants to be kind of like up. I want to think like Alex Ovechkin type of deal. Alex Ovechkin is going to be a guy that now he's changed his game since being under Barry Torts, who originally was not originally, but coaching with Nashville, ended up going over to Washington Capitals. Now coaching with the New Jersey Islanders. There we go. But what I keep seeing within these Blue Jackets is this fight, this grit, which is something that's really been there since 2000. But this is something that I was kind of saying with the Yarmo thing, is that Yarmo came in 2013, and I feel like he changed this culture of this city. The reason I think he did that was people say that Columbus, really in the national scene, that Columbus is this low market team, which essentially they were. I feel like there's three phases that the Columbus Blue Jackets have gone through. They started out as kind of your opening phase, which a new team, when you're new and you're there, you want to compete, you want to try to win some games, but you really want to try to like build a fan base, I feel like. So your opening phase, you're trying to win. Everybody's trying to win, but necessarily you may not be like upset if you don't make the playoffs your first 4 seasons, maybe your first like 2 or 3. The Columbus Blue Jackets didn't make a playoff season or a playoff debut until 2008. So this, I believe, would have been the 8th or 9th season. I believe it's I can't remember if it's 99 to 2000 or if it was 2000 to 2001. Oh well. Pretty much with that phase until they kind of got there, and it was kind of just like we're happy-go-lucky. I remember going to games thinking it'd be nice if they win today. It'd be cool. It'd be good to see. But I'm just happy to be here. Happy to see this. Happy to see some fans and all that type of stuff and just watch some hockey. Then Yarmo came in about 2013. And the Jackets were starting to make some noise. The Jackets were just recently got Nick Foligno from the Ottawa Senators, who I can't remember the year the trade happened, but I do remember he came and he was a younger guy, scoring goals, kind of a guy that you seem to start to like. You're like, all right, this guy's serious. He's got something to him. I just liked him as a hockey player. But in that phase, it was kind of changed a little bit. They started to make the playoffs a couple times. I remember I was in college and I saw them win their first playoff game when they beat Pittsburgh. And one, it was an amazing night for me because my dad's being a Pens fan. They won the series inevitably, but there were 2 wins that season against the mighty Penguins of Pittsburgh. And being from Ohio and a Columbus, Pittsburgh beats up on Ohio teams, and it was good to just stick a little bit back at them a little bit. I mean, it's kind of odd because I'm a Steelers fan, I'm a Pirates fan, but I do not. Hello, Beast Boy. We will say hello to you. Just talking some Blue Jackets here. I am doing good, my guy. I just wanted to really get going on this. You missed a little bit at the beginning here of what is thoughts with Jessey. This is essentially what I just kind of like to talk about. Kind of some thoughts going around in my head. I'm a big sports guy, as you can probably tell. I'm talking my head off on these Blue Jackets, but man, it's just been a big day for Blue Jackets guys. All right, they get this trade, they get PATRICK LANIE. I really have a feeling that this could be something special brewing. I am so happy you're a Blue Jackets fan too, because all right. So then let me ask you a question here, Beast Boy. Who's your favorite player? Who's your favorite player? I love sports. Oh, is it? I love sports. Well, who's your favorite player in the NHL? How about that? Would that be a little bit easier? I'm a Jackets fan, so I would have said that PLD is Kobe. Who's Kobe? I don't believe I know the Kobe. I'm gonna have to look him up right now. I'm gonna have to figure this out, man. We'll figure this out and going. But as I'm sitting here looking this up here real quick, one thing that I kind of was bringing up a little bit earlier is I think Jarmo is a savage. I think Jarmo is a savage just because he came out today and he was talking about PLD being traded. What he was doing is they asked him a question. They were like, well, what do you feel about trading PLD, essentially the number 3 pick for the number 2 pick in the 2016 draft? What is the thing? His response was, if I can pull it up, I actually might just try to have him say it, but his response was essentially that it didn't hurt to trade PLD. Go ahead, subscribe, like. I definitely love it. I really want to try to keep this working, keep this going. So I love the support, Beast Boy. Tell your friends, tell your family, bring it in, bring it on. I'm going to try to do one a day. I was really thinking about maybe doing some stuff like maybe once a week, a couple times a month, but I really just love talking sports, and I love sitting down and doing just kind of like anything. Sports is really what growing up for me was something that got me up, something that got me going. I had to play. I had to be a part of something. I grew up playing baseball and played a little bit of everything too. Played basketball, played football 1 year, played soccer growing up a little. I yell at my sister. That happened. I hope at least you yelled at her that she needed to subscribe to this to do it. Oh, okay, yeah. That's what I was hoping. But essentially, what I love is I love the competitiveness, just getting out and seeing a game played at the top level. a game being played, even me being a head coach of a lacrosse team it's just kind of intense because you see these kids that are up and coming and these other kids that are just starting out and really the different levels, but you see the dynamic of everybody coming to the same spot and being just wanting to really. How long are you going to do this live stream? Well, I was planning on doing 30 minutes. I think I'm going to do another 20 minutes, though, make it a full hour. Just kind of let this go, and then I'm going to be back tomorrow. Actually, I know I've been talking all these Blue Jackets here at the beginning. What I'm going to do, what I've got going on tomorrow is I have a playoff box lacrosse game that I am going to be at. So we got to come ready to go. We got a team. I believe it's 3:00 tomorrow. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun time. I'm excited. I'm ready to just see my boys go out and just play, man. I'm so, especially, I guess I need to slow myself down because everything that's been going on in this world with the pandemic and everybody really turning to things such as the live stream and things such as, a lot of like staying at home, stuff like just certain things that we really can't go out and do. Like we can't go out and watch, like obviously we can't go watch a hockey game. We can't, we watched a little bit of football games at points in time. But it's just hard to imagine this comeback from everything that's really happened, everything that's been taken away from us. And now we're slowly giving it back. I guess it's just beautiful now to know that I'm going to go coach a lacrosse game tomorrow. And it's beautiful to see that sports is back. Sports is here. I can sit here and talk about my Blue Jackets and talk how much I hate the Tampa Bay Lightning and how I love that they beat them 5-2 today in regulation and tied the Tampa Bay Lightning for first place now, even though I know they've got I believe it's 4 or 2 less games. It's 6 games played by Columbus, and call me, please. I'm not gonna call you, man. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna keep going with this. I do appreciate the support, and we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna actually try to get some Zoom calls in here within the next. You want to call people. Hey, man, I feel that. I mean, I love talking to people. I love getting involved. I would love to really get involved more with some of the Zoom calls with the fans. If you think that would be kind of cool to have a little interaction back and forth. Let me know in the comments what you think. But I think right now what's just amazing is this hockey season. This freaking hockey season blows my mind. We're 6 games in. It's unbelievable as a Columbus Blue Jackets fan. Like I said, we got PATRICK LANIE coming in. I mean, when you got a GM that literally comes out and says, I am so over. He basically came out and said, I'm over Dubois. I'm flat out over Dubois. And I think I got it here. I thought I had pulled up here in a second. But basically what he ended up coming out and saying was that he did not care too much about trading Patrick Dubois, PLD. He didn't care because PLD essentially because he was getting the 2nd overall pick in the 2016 draft in PATRICK LANIE. When they made this trade earlier this morning, I think the trade happened it came public about 11 a.m. I was freaking out about like 11:15. My game changed. A little confused on that. But anyway, excuse me, sorry. Basically, with this entire trade and why he was so he was just changed the world. Oh, yes. Now I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. Yeah, oh, yes. It makes huge game changer, essentially. Gotcha. Basically what he is saying, though, is look, he traded the 3rd overall pick. He's got the second overall pick coming back with him, and he had got another top center in who's only 23 years old in Jack Roslovic. Sorry. Jack Roslovic. And Jack Roslovic is a Columbus native. He's 23 years old. He's a center, and Yarmo's already came out and said that he's gonna play. And the biggest thing is that he didn't actually have a contract with the Winnipeg Jets when he got traded. So people were a little nervous about him coming in with the trade, but immediately signed a 2-year contract. To the Columbus Blue Jackets. Oh, well, you got to go. Talk to you later, man. I appreciate the love, the comments, and the subscription. I will gladly continue to post more content, and I hope I see you around, Beast Boy. Enjoy your evening. But getting back to the Jackets, man, I tell you this, just having him trade, I guess I sit here and I imagine myself, really losing my mind when I hear the Columbus Blue Jackets are not able to pull in top tier superstar talent. And then I'm sorry, I'm literally jumping all over the place here. But don't want to have too much dead air here. But this team, it's changing. When you come out and you tell people that you don't care about the third overall pick, you don't care about the second, or when you say something that your top guy is like, I don't want to be here, the stage isn't big enough, and you come back and trade him and say, we don't care, we're going to go get the second pick above you, that to me is so freaking savage by a GM just to be like, yeah, well, you don't want to be here? Okay, let's sign a 2-year deal. Let's move it along. We'll get down the line. And then to find out that he was actually working on the deal longer than just the past few days, because everybody kind of assumed with the crappy shifts and the crappy just 4 minutes of ice time, it was actually 3 minutes and 55 seconds. But who cares? He's not here anymore. I guess I'm reminiscing a lot of the past now. Obviously, it's just so new. This trade, this is insane. It's just amazing. And I guess this brings me back to the point that I was trying to make a little bit earlier, that you can't sit here and say to me that just because Columbus, yes, I will admit that Columbus is a smaller market team. You're not going to be like a Toronto Maple Leafs team that is just going to have fans out the wazoo, no matter if you win 10 games or if you win the cup. You're going to have fans across the world that are just going to know and all this stuff. The thing that amazes me about the Columbus Blue Jackets is since Yarmo has come in, they've always been in the news. There's always been something going on that Yarmo is working. And Yarmo hasn't been afraid to make the big deal and make the big change. As you saw when they were worried that Panarin and Bob were going to leave. So what's he do? He goes and trades a bunch of stock, a bunch of picks, some young players and stuff to go and get a Matt Duchene, to go and get a Ryan Dzingel, to get an extra goalie I cannot remember his name. Oh my gosh. And then to grab just to make a big move, like a splashy move, like he just did, to get a top 10 player. I don't want to say that PATRICK LANIE is going to be the answer for the Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't want to say that he's going to be the guy that comes in and changes this entire persona around Columbus and turns this into a cup-winning team. But I do think that this changes the team's persona a little bit. At least you have to say that they haven't been a team that's going to wait around and hope that somebody comes around. Yarmo has been a guy that's going to push the envelope a bit when he needs to. And he's going to let things ride when he can't really do a lot. And when his hands are tied, I haven't felt at a point where I've never felt like the Columbus Blue Jackets could not make the playoffs. Now, they're in a 4 straight seasons of making the playoffs. They had a 97 point total just 2 years ago. They just won 2 playoff series back to back. Yeah, they had the 5-game playoff series that they won to win it last year or to win the play-in or whatever. But that's still a playoff series. And you're sitting there watching with all this talent. And I don't want to say that Columbus is just littered with like talent across, but like to tell me that Seth Jones, Zach Werenski, Jonas Corposalo, even to go as far as I would say Cam Atkinson, just because he's had a 40-point goal season. He's had plenty of seasons that he's. This is another thing with Patrick Lanier. I think if he gets some ice time with him, like there could be another Panarin Atkinson type of deal, just back and forth, like dink and dunk. But Panarin, I believe, is a better passer than Patrick is, but I think Patrick brings in that high intensity. He's gonna put points on the board. And if you don't believe it, go to the one game that he's played this season against Calgary. He scored 2 goals, had an assist, and one of the goals was a game winner in overtime. So I think he's well qualified to come in here and know that he can score some goals. I think he's plenty qualified to come in here and just do what he does, man. And there's a lot of excitement around the Blue Jackets thing. Now, the biggest thing it comes down to, can you sign him? Can you sign Patrick Lanier and him not be a restricted free, or I don't think he's a restricted free agent. I think he's a free agent, which the difference between a restricted free agent or unrestricted free agent being the restricted free agent is kind of a little bit more under team control than the unrestricted free agent who can just go wherever he wants. Basically, what I see with this team going forward now is they now have their offensive guy who's going to draw attention from people around him. He is easily going to be able to show these people that, okay, I'm in Columbus now. I'm not in Winnipeg. I think he comes in here and he's going to be excited to play for Torts. I don't think Torts is going to be a guy that is. I think Torts is going to maybe try to put a little fire under him at times if he's not playing well. But I don't think. I mean, I guess that really comes down to the player's mentality. If Patrick doesn't want to play for Torts, is it going to come down to it again? But if he signs a contract here, does that change the persona of the destination in Columbus? You see a guy like Patrick Lanier come in here, and maybe he starts doing well. Maybe we win 2 playoff series this season and make a championship, make an Eastern Conference championship, which I really think is plausible with this team. I don't think this team is somebody that's going to go around and get pushed around and just fall apart. I think, as you can tell from a team who's 2-2-2, they have grinded out everything that they possibly can so far in the season. They have shown that, yeah, we've got 6 points, but we've also got a win against Tampa. I mean, this is the thing. So you lose to Tampa the other day in overtime, but you win today in regulation. You took 3 points from Tampa. You only could have got 4, but you got 3. I mean, that to me shows that you're getting some things done, especially against the defending Cup champion, who, by the way, I don't know how you get better with all those contracts they did. They lost a couple people, but I mean, I don't even really think they really did lose a bunch of people, you know? Like, I feel like, yeah, they had to make some cuts. They had to make some things not work out and stuff like that, but I don't know. I definitely am more about the Blue Jackets moving forward now. I feel a lot more comfortable with I guess, with the offensive end, potentially. Obviously, I felt like Texier was coming into his own. I felt like he was starting to really build off of. And Liam Foudy, who is 19, if you guys didn't know, and if you don't know Liam Foudy, you will know Liam Foudy, because this dude is actually, his number's 19 as well, which is hilarious. But he is a high flyer when it comes to him skating. He's one of the fast. He's easily the fastest guy that we have on the team, and he's unfreaking believable. I think he could be something pretty big for the Blue Jackets down the road. But with that being said, I also think there's definitely a lot of room for improvement. Now, some of that you might say could be, well, PLD asked for a trade and was just kind of being himself and not really trying. Like, that's a distraction. That's a huge distraction. It definitely is a huge distraction. It's something that if your teammate, one of the guys, like this isn't just some dude that's on the team that you're like, he just doesn't want to be here. This was like going to be the dude this year, and now he's gone, which is fine because Jarmo, being Savage Jarmo, kicked him out. Pretty much, I felt like slammed the door on him on the way out and said, well, you're going off to Winnipeg. Now, I believe PLD is from Winnipeg. So I do think he actually could be in a better position for himself just because of him being from Winnipeg. Obviously, his parents and his family being there, some friends. That'd be great. That's obviously going to be a good thing for him. But the team itself, I feel like now that you take PATRICK LANIE out of the Winnipeg Jets and you put in PLD, I don't think they're going to be the same team. It's going to be interesting. Definitely with the Winnipeg being on the west and the Columbus Blue Jackets being in the east. This isn't something that they're going to run into each other very often. They're not even going to see each other this season unless they both make the Stanley Cup playoffs. Would be a very, very, very crazy storyline to have. I mean, one, to have Winnipeg and Columbus in the Cup in 2021. That'd be intense. That'd be pretty cool to see. One being Columbus would actually have won the Eastern Conference, let alone have made the Stanley Cup for the first time ever. Then to find out that, oh yeah, you're playing PLD who you traded earlier this year. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of excitement here. There's a lot of things that are going to be that are really going to just, I feel like, take off. I definitely think this could be a very similar situation to it's Panarin when Panarin was here, the bread man. I think this could be something really good. I think this is something that could be potentially it could be a whole like cup changing type of deal. Like this could be a thing that puts Columbus over the top. Like as a team, if you look down the line, like they have solid defenders. When you have a Seth Jones, Zach Werenski, David Savard, and then just so you guys know, David Savard and Kukin and this guy that they just brought in, Del Zotto. I mean, they've got some guys that can play on the defensive end. And having Korpisalo and then Elvis to back him up, which, by the way, Elvis was in goal today, got his first win of the year. So now Elvis and Corpy both have one. But to just know that the offensive end, which has never been something that the Columbus Blue Jackets have really had, the 2018-2019 team, when they beat Tampa 4-0 in the playoff, that was probably the best offensive unit they have had ever. Stat-wise, it may not rack up as the best. I know there was a lot of great stats that came from that team, but I definitely think that team will be beaten by this team. I think the points total, I don't want to say the win, like the points total for the win-loss column, but I definitely think the offensive point total will be going well up. You will definitely be hearing that cannon pop off a lot more than potentially in the past. I think PATRICK LANIE comes in. I think he has a fire under his belt that he just wants to win. And he wants to come in here. Now, I've heard, obviously, from Twitter, take this with a grain of salt, I've heard that he's excited. I've heard he's very energized to play for Columbus. He said he thinks this is a great, young, talented team. basically what I want to see happen is I would like to see the Blue Jackets sign him to about a 7 or 9 year deal. Because, I mean, you got to think, if you sign him to a 7 or 9 year deal, he's going to be here till 29 or 31. That is plenty of time for some shit to go down in Columbus. Well, guys, I really didn't think I'd actually talk this long, especially just about the Blue Jackets. I definitely need to probably get my scripts a little bit better. But I appreciate Beast Boy for him coming on and talking a little bit. The couple people we've had in, I don't know who's been in here this entire time, but appreciate you. Appreciate the couple likes we've got. And guys, I definitely just want to say that this is something that I just want to keep going. I want to thank, honestly, my buddy, my guy, John Marion, for allowing me to use this facility and allow me to just have a really cool job. I mean, I love what I do, and guys, that's something that I'm going to try to do every time I end it, is just end it with some positivity and something that's going to be put maybe to give you some thought. Basically, what I am trying to say here is that you need somebody in your life that can be this mentor that's going to allow positivity, but also allow you to fail. If you can have somebody in your life that allows you to fail in front of them and allows you to, I don't want to say like fix the mistake, but to essentially take the mistake and try to right it. I don't want to say fix, because you can't always fix a mistake, but to try to right the wrong as best you possibly can. That's really hard to find nowadays, and it's really hard to find just authentic people. And I want you guys to know that this is me. This is me being real. This is me saying that I love sports. Sports has given so much to me in my life, and it has really taught me many, many hard lessons and many, many great things that this world has to offer, and has shown me the camaraderie that comes with sports, the competitiveness, and just the kind of flashy showy bit, but then the whole it's been wonderful growing up and really just having something that I know is, it's not maybe the most important thing in everybody's life, or something that even something that has to be here. It's just something that's so beautiful and so rich, and I love being able to know that I can sit here and I can talk to you guys about kind of my ideas and ask some questions and stuff like that. The biggest thing that I want to keep doing, though, is I want to keep talking. I just want to keep talking to you guys. I want to keep spreading joy, and I really want people to understand. I mean, not let alone me, but to understand that I'm really trying to figure out like how I can help people too. And I know that we're all kind of in our different world, it's really been difficult. It's been this pandemic and being kind of trapped in, and I was about to say like separate, like your different worlds. Essentially it is. I mean, you're living in your place and I'm living in mine. And the biggest thing is now we're trying to come back through between, I mean, this computer, like this thing back here, we're trying to talk between screens, and it's unbelievable to see these things happen. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's unbelievable to see that these strange little things that happen when you just let everything go and let God kind of guide the way. I know some things that I'll probably talk through this podcast will be a little bit more of like some things such as that. Like, I don't want to draw people away from God, but I want to say like what brought me closer to God. And if you don't like that, then I guess my channel's not for you. But I do want to say that this is going to be primarily talking about sports, things that happen to me during my days. And I want this vlog to be just something cool. We can all kind of sit down, talk, and be like, man, that's an interesting thought. Like, I guess the one thing I want you to, I said a couple of things already that I want you to leave with, but the one thing that I guess to go refresh myself of today's thoughts with Jessey is I was talking to somebody today about how we shut people down, or I don't want to say shut people down, how we communicate now with cell phones, how we communicate with social media, how we communicate face to face, but yet not, and how we try to show people who we are and how much that has changed since I feel like I was the last kind of kids that didn't have real internet. Like I remember when we first got internet and it was dial up. I remember being the last kid in my 7th grade class who had to raise their hand. I was by just me. This was just me. Nobody else in their class raised their hand and tell the class that I did not have internet at home and that I couldn't do the homework because the homework was only online. And it was a very kind of weird, surreal moment. But to kind of deflect away from that, it's just a moment in time that's really unbelievable to think about now. But just to imagine that, like how it really, the conversation that we had was about freezing, or not freezing, like just not responding to people when they text you, and really understanding who to talk to, and does this open a door? Like, is this person that is texting me, are they worth my time? Really the conversation was talking about like, is this conversation worth my time? Is this person worth my time? Should I answer this person to show that they're just kind of hanging around, or to show that like I'm still interested in whatever? Like and all of us have probably done this where we haven't responded to somebody and they kept responding to us, and like we just ignored it and didn't want to be a part of this person's life. Maybe didn't want to like deal with what this person was trying to get or ask or whatever. But I think the biggest thing for me is I understand that yes, there is the aspect of the, I almost want to call it the fandom of like, if per se I was to continuously keep up, like constantly tweeting at PLD and trying to tell him that he sucks because now he asked me for a trade and he's gone. I wouldn't do that because like that's stupid. I don't think there's a point in that. And yes, there are people out there that probably do this. There's probably people out here listening to me thinking that I'm stupid. But I just want people to understand that our communication is completely different than what it used to be. And we need to really understand, what are we losing when we only talk to each other through a phone? What are we losing when we don't talk to each other face to face? Even if it is through a screen and you can see them. It's some things to think about. It's definitely some food for thought. I mean, shoot, guys, it's been an hour and 9 minutes. And I really cannot believe, I don't know who's been here this whole time, but I shout out to you, man. Like, I definitely appreciate everything that has happened today. I definitely really, I don't know, I really thought this was going to be something that was going to be a lot harder, maybe a little bit different, but it will be different. It will be something that will grow. It will be something that will be better. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing badly. A good friend of mine, Doug Worthing, said that, and I will continue to say that because that is some great words of advice there. So I'm going to sign off now on this. Go Bucks, go Blue Jackets, go Steelers, go Pirates, go Cavs, and oh my gosh. I will talk about this more tomorrow because I believe the Cavs are playing. I believe they play tonight, but I am a huge Cavs fan, and Sexland is surrounded by trees. Just know that. Jared Allen, Andre Drummond, Larry Nance Jr., and how about Prince? Deshaun Prince, by the way. Just saying, go Cavs. They looking good. They're fifth. I believe they're fifth in the Eastern Conference right now, which is a lot better if you know anything about the Cavs in the NBA. Unbelievable. We will talk about some other stuff that is going in the sports world tomorrow. We will also probably get into a little bit of the lacrosse game that I have. Definitely want to talk about that and obviously get that down in writing. Guys, thank you so much for allowing me to do this and really sit back and listen to kind of what goes on in my head. And really, like I said, I am excited for the Blue Jackets season the rest of the year. I'm excited to see what they do with PATRICK LANIE. I hope that they can bring him on for longer than just this year. And I hope that they keep winning. Go Jackets, boys.